If you're on the fence about adding some Japanese hand tools to your kit, this video is just what the wood gods ordered. Knowing how to use these bad boys, and a bit about their backstory, is key. Today, we're not just talking about them, we're throwing it back to the good old days, showing you exactly how the pros of the past did it. Get ready for a hands-on history lesson. We'll now explain the history of Japanese carpentry tools from the Jomon period to the Meiji period. First, we have the corner covering the transition from stone to iron. Wood was cut and processed from the Jomon to the Yayoi period using stone axes, and wooden structures were built. In the Yayoi period, iron tools were introduced from the continent, and iron tools began to replace stone tools. As a result, the speed of cutting wood greatly increased, and the precision of wood processing improved. Here, we have the wood cut using a stone and iron axe. Let's compare the two cut surfaces. This wood, a chestnut tree commonly used during the Jomon period, was cut with a stone axe. The surface cut with the stone axe leaves marks as if the wood fibers have been crushed. Cutting down a tree with a stone axe took a very long time. This is a cypress tree, commonly used from the late Yayoi period onward. The sharp iron axe creates a cut surface where the wood fibers are cleanly severed. Trees can be cut much faster using an iron axe than a stone axe. In experiments, trees were felled about 3 to 5 times faster. From the Yayoi period to the Kofun period, various iron tools appeared. By the Kofun period, basic carpentry tools, such as axes, chisels, spear planes, and saws, had all been developed. Next, I will explain the era of split log lumbering. Split log lumbering involves splitting logs with chisels and wedges, as demonstrated here. In Japan, the era of split log lumbering lasted for thousands of years, from the end of the Jomon period to the mid-Muromachi period. This video is a recreation of the split log lumbering process, based on medieval painting records. The board next to the log here was actually produced using split log lumbering. The rough splintered surface is then planed down to a flat surface using an adze, chona. Finally, it is smoothed with a spear plane called yari kana to finish. The boards obtained from splitting are thick, so creating thin boards in the split log lumbering era required significant effort. Thus, boards were highly valuable at the time. This painting, Legends of Kitano Tenjin Shrine, was drawn in the early 14th century. In the Kamakura period, scenes like this, depicting temple and shrine construction, became common. Here, you can see the entire process of split log lumbering on a touch panel, from splitting the wood with a chisel and shaving it with a long adze, to finishing it with a spear plane. This shows the wood splitting process using chisels and a wooden mallet. This shows the process of shaving the wood with an adze. And here is the process of finishing the wood with a spear plane. This is a medieval saw, called a leaf-shaped saw. It is called leaf-shaped because it resembles a leaf split in half. If you look at the direction of the teeth, the 13th century saw on the top has teeth that point straight down, meaning it could cut both pushing and pulling. The 15th century saw on the bottom has teeth that face toward the user, showing that it evolved into a pull saw by the medieval period. Around the middle of the Muromachi period, a new method of lumbering began to replace split-log lumbering. This method used a vertical saw to rip wood lengthwise, called ripsawing. In the previous split-log lumbering method, it was easier to use straight-grained wood like cedar or cypress, but over time, high-quality wood like this became scarce. Such good materials gradually became harder to find. Particularly, the tool introduced from China that is displayed here is the two-person saw. This saw became widely used around the 15th century. Two people would alternately pull from the top and bottom of an inclined log, allowing them to cut through large pieces of wood at once, an innovative tool. With the use of the two-person saw, it became easier to handle wood that was difficult to use with the split-log lumbering method, such as twisted grain pine or hard zelkova. It also became easier to create thin boards and narrow timber. The impact of this was also seen in architecture, where thinner and narrower materials were used more frequently than in earlier periods. However, the period in which the two-person saw was used did not last very long. This is the single-person front-pulling saw. It appeared in the 16th century and replaced the two-person saw, continuing to be used for lumbering until recent times. One of the key innovations of the late medieval period was the introduction of the large plane, thought to have appeared during the Sengoku period. Compared to the spear plane finish, the large plane allowed for a much smoother surface finish. In the Edo period, tools became increasingly specialized for tasks such as shaving curved surfaces or digging holes, and the number of tool types increased. Here, we introduce a tool used to create the grooves for fitting sliding doors and fusuma. First, the sides of the groove are cut with a specialized groove saw. The groove saw has a curved blade to make it easier to pull along a flat surface. Next, a chisel is used to carve out the groove, followed by a gouge-shaped tool, resembling a plastering trowel, to clean out the groove. Finally, the groove is smoothed, using a bottom scraping plane, and the sides are finished, using a side plane to complete the groove. Most of the tools used to create grooves are specifically designed for this particular task. These diverse tools appeared during the Edo period. Displayed in this case is a full set of carpentry tools from the end of the Edo period. Upon completing the building, they were donated by a carpenter who built the Momoyama Tenmon Shrine in Fushimi, Kyoto. Carpentry tools were often used up and discarded, so it is very rare to find a complete set of tools from the Edo period preserved like this. In particular, having a set of tools passed down from a single temple carpenter is very valuable. This set contains 59 tools in total. There are various types of saws and planes, but the large number of chisels is especially notable. Most of them are striking chisels, with each one differing in blade shape, width, and thickness. For the chisel handles, not only common woods like persimmon, but high-grade materials like chiton and kokutan were used, demonstrating the craftsman's dedication to his tools. In the Edo period, the carpentry techniques that had previously been secret were published in books and widely disseminated. Here are examples of such books: the 18th century Kiwarishu and Augmented Disho Hinagata, and the 19th century Yamato Eishu. These were essentially textbooks for carpenters. Local carpenters were able to learn techniques and designs from these books, allowing them to gradually develop skills that rivaled those of central carpenters. From the late Edo period, new architectural styles and materials like glass and brick, along with techniques such as trusses, were introduced from the West, and Western-style buildings began to be constructed. Carpenters adapted flexibly to these new architectural styles, techniques, and materials by building on the skills they had developed during the Edo period. One of the major influences on carpentry tools during this time was the screw. The principle of the screw was introduced to Japan along with guns, but it wasn't until the Meiji period that screws came into full use, being utilized for tools like augers, planes, and gauges to adjust their widths. Additionally, innovations such as the dual-blade saw, which combined rip and cross-cut blades into one, and the two-blade plane with an added chip breaker, were developed and quickly became popular due to their practicality. This concludes the explanation of the Journey into History section.